Welcome to the Lost Lowdown, podcast 167, with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We're back, continuing our season 4 commentary series with episode 412, There's No Place Like Home, part 1. So we have finally done it. We're at the finale of season 4.
Yay!
It took 30 years, but we're finally here.
When did we start season 4? That's a good
Oof.
historical question.
No one knows. There's no way to find out.
Somebody listening to this probably knows. Yeah, I'm gonna find out here. Let's see. So we did The Economist in September 2016.
Oh no.
So it was before that.
Quite.
Here it is. The beginning of the end, June 1st, 2016. So
June 2016, and this is April of 2016.
correct.
So
we went back in time.
Hey, time travel's a thing we learn on the show.
It is actually. We're about to learn a lot about it.
You're also the leader of the others, and
Right.
I need to give you a quick test to see if you recognize any of these objects. And if you fail the test, I'm going to take it personally.
Yeah, even though I should know that you're not magic.
You should know that, but magic is real, or else how could you be alive for so long?
Well, that's a fair point.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Point.
I guess we'll just start a biotech company called Metalos.
You could maybe ask the Magic Man. Maybe he could just tell you.
Oh man, there was totally a character on this show called the Magic Man, I'm sure.
Come on, Magic Man.
Just ask the Magic Man.
Did you make him a magic boy?
Magic Man has the magic plan for the Magic Island. All right, so this is the 3-part finale that has some of the craziest stuff on the show and is really ramping up to the increasingly crazy stuff we see in season 5 and 6. So I'm really excited to get to this point and see how they all get off the island finally and forever and never go back.
Right. That's definitely what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's what I hope happens.
You know, I feel like that is an element of this part of the show that we never because season 3 ends with, you know, the first flash forward, and specifically it ends with we have to go back. One thing that means is that this whole time, like this whole season, we know that even if they get off, probably they're going to be going back. That's part of what that set up, and I think that's part of the problem with the. I guess that's part of the problem with any sort of flash forward type story. There's kind of there's not only defined endpoint, which is like they get off the island, but we're even already to the next step in the plot.
It's a 1-2 punch. It's not, they got off the island, great. It's they got off, but there's this need to go back, which is surprising because the whole point of getting off is you think they would never want to or need to go back. So it opens up for all these dramatic questions about why they need to go back and this idea. We have it in the flash forward timeline. We hadn't seen all the characters, off the island. So I don't think we know who got off exactly. I think that's what this is setting up, right? The Oceanic 6 stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
No, I think we know who the Oceanic 6 are by this point. Or you mean back then we didn't know?
I mean, what do I mean? I mean, at this point in the show, do we know already?
Yeah, I think season 4, like a big part of the sort of understory, does that make sense? I don't know. A major story element of season 4 is who are the Oceanic Six? Because like episode 1 sets it up where Hurley's like, I'm one of the Oceanic Six.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
for the whole season, it's been, well, who are the Oceanic Six? You know. And in like Juliet's episode, there was this tease that maybe it was a flash forward. Maybe she was one of them, even though she wasn't actually on the plane. Of course, that turns out not to be true. We see that Ben got off. And it's the we also no, we don't know that yet. We're about to find that out. Anyway, a few people got off that weren't part of the Oceanic Six. So it's a little muddled, but I think the Oceanic Six ended up including Aaron.
Yeah.
So like based on the flash forwards, I think we know that it was Hurley, Saeed, Jack, Kate, and who am I forgetting? And Sun, and Aaron. I think that's the 6. So I think the episodes have told us that, and what that means is, unless they're special, for some reason, the other, especially the sort of castaway characters, like, didn't get off.
Yeah.
So there is a big question mark there of like what happened to them, and I guess that's where season 5 is gonna come in, to kind of fill in those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's kind of the problem. I've seen a lot of well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've seen a number of shows. I mean, sometimes they just do it in one episode, which is like the worst version. But I've seen other shows have like flash forward type stories, where they kind of fill in the gaps later, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like the mechanics of storytelling, in a way, like depend on not like sort of saying in advance what the ending is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like it's a little weird. Like for me, what I remember from this is that so like Jack and Kate or whatever. I mean, they have like the standard like plot armor that people say of that they're main characters, and so they're just unlikely to die for that reason. But they have even extra armor because we actually know that they live.
Yeah.
Past the point where they're on the island. So anytime they're in jeopardy, and this goes even for Ben, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's the problem that you have when you have this sort of out of chronology storytelling. Is you sort of, like you said, that ending point is true. They at least make it to that point in the future. So yeah, it lessens the drama, when they're in any sort of peril, previous to that point, which kind of sucks, which means they have to generally make what's interesting about watching the plot about something else instead of where they end up, because we know where they end up.
Right. And they definitely are pretty quick in this one to kind of pivot to, what's the next step? Like how is it that they end up trying to go back? So like that's kind of the question going forward. And the big reveal at the end of this season is the first part of the answer that we really get primarily in season 5, with the Locke stuff.
Yeah,
because that ends up being the catalyst for everything. But I can remember when this originally came on, like, in a way it was just like, okay, like, finally the story could progress. We don't have a defined endpoint after this. When they go back, what's going to happen? We have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think that was great. Of course, we enter back into time travel territory, which has similar problems. But they still didn't really, do flash forwards in the same way again. The next time they had flash forwards, they were dead. So, the rules of flash forwards didn't really apply. So, yeah. I think it was a powerful moment at the end of season 3, and I would even say probably the strongest ending of any season. Um, but it did kind of handicap the show a bit in season 4. Um, so in a way, I think it's good that the writer strike happened and it ended up being a bit shorter, because in a way it's like yada yada, like get to the next part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, this is also, the last 3 seasons they had to deal with ABC for shorter seasons, so they can
right,
cut out all that filler, and
yeah,
which really helped.
right, yeah. They don't have to come up with like 5 more Claire episodes or whatever. Like it's just like
Mm-hmm.
we can just like not do that. She can just not be on the show anymore. How about that?
She's chilling in the cabin with
Chilling
Christian.
in the cabin. Yeah. And yeah, what I remember from this, so I believe I'm not 100% sure about this. This is one of those like this is in the historical record, but I believe the first part aired by itself, and then parts 2 and 3 aired together, as sort of a 2-hour finale.
Yeah.
So I think the
that makes
3
sense.
were not aired together.
Okay.
Yes, confirmed.
Yep.
On Last PD. So anyway, but nonetheless, I mean, they're clearly conceived as, I don't think part 1 necessarily stands alone. It's kind of just a teaser for parts 2 and 3. And what stands out in my memory from it is the one thing that I don't know why I'm like afraid of saying spoilers. Like that doesn't make any sense. We're so far beyond that.
But also no spoilers.
But also, let's please. No, I'm thinking of some smaller things I remember. Like, I remember that the scene when Sun confronts Widmore. I remember like totally being like blown away by that scene.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't have a great follow through there in the future, so it kind of took away from it. But at the time,
Yep.
it was really cool.
That was huge. That might have been her sort of peak as a character.
Yeah.
And then she sort of plateaus and then sort of goes down after that. I don't think she does too much more interesting things.
Yeah.
By the end of the show.
Where's my husband? It's just that.
Yeah, she gets stuck in that. But yeah, when she confronts Widmore, and she's like, "Do you know who the fuck I am?" That's what I remember her saying.
It's implied. I'm sure it was in the script.
My father is something Pike.
That's right.
He's the most powerful man in Korea. You better watch out, Widmore.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, we play golf together."
Yeah, exactly. He's my bestie.
I made him from New Zealand for some reason.
That's close enough. Alan Dale's from Australia. That's close enough.
I think that's what I had in mind. I don't think Widmore's actually supposed to be, but
no, it's fine.
But yeah, that was a cool moment. I definitely remember the weird Claire dream. That I still don't 100% know the significance.
We'll solve it this time.
We'll get there. Checkmate, Mr. Echo. That was a weird thing that I actually thought was going to be in episode 10, but it's clearly going to be in this one. Oh right, and I think probably like one of the most weirdly satisfying moments, which kind of just lines up with what I was saying before about the fact that this is kind of like finally we get to the next phase. It's not just about how do we get to the point we already know about, but what's next? Like it's great when I remember like very clearly being so elated when this happened. Like we get back to we have to go back and then because Kate's driving away. Jack's like, we have to go back, And she slams on the brakes, gets out, and says, "What?"
Yeah, oh, it's great.
It's great.
That was really a great moment. The first time around to really get back to that, because you just have no idea what's going to happen after he yells, "We have to go back," and there's just niceness about keeping that continuity and not like we have to go back and they cut and they're at the house and they'll continue talking or something or whatever. It's just like, no, still in that moment that's been moment. Like sort of, frozen in time since last we saw it,
Yeah. Like you finally get to hit on pause.
Yeah. And like finish that whole thing. And then she just says what you would expect somebody to say in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah. What are you talking about? We have to go back. Like, it's like, great. That's what the audience is wondering. Like, anytime you can have that happen, and a lot of times, that would be Saeed's role. Sometimes it would be Locke, like to ask the question the audience wants to know.
Yeah.
Even if they don't get a satisfying answer, it's still nice to at least have it somehow addressed on screen. That like, okay, I'm not crazy for thinking like, so what? Why does he want to go back exactly?
Yeah.
I don't think the show gave an answer. I never found the answer 100% convincing. It's always seemed a bit weird to me. Even though like it makes sense. It makes sense from a sort of classic storytelling point of view. It makes sense from a character point of view. But I don't know if they ever fully connected the dots. Like it's a bit weird. It's sort of like, I don't know. Hurley told me I'd see a ghost, and and then I saw my father, and then I decided
then the fire alarm went off, so we got to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed, I don't know, it always seemed like that was the catalyst. Like, it's a bit odd. Like, why? And I always felt like they didn't follow through on that either, because I always thought that he was in a way going back to the island to confront his father.
Yeah, like that was the unfinished business, and in whatever respect the island wasn't done with him, should be within the context of him dealing with his dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, now refresh my memory. At the point at which Jack is telling Kate, in that scene, we have to go back. Locke hasn't visited him yet, right? Because Locke later comes out and is like, hey, we got to go back. And Jack's like, screw you, Locke. Nobody cares about what you want.
Locke has visited him because the funeral's already happened. Or the funerals are going to happen. He's dead. He's already dead.
Okay. Oh, that was, I think it's supposed to be another catalyst.
That's Locke's death was
because he was like
second
Locke's
catalyst.
Because he's like, we got to go back, and Jack blows him off, but then Locke dies, and somehow I think that's supposed to also drive his.
Yeah, because back. Locke died, we have to go back. That's a weird one too.
Yeah, it's almost like he owes it to him in some way or something, but it's not quite clear exactly how that's supposed to line up. It gets fuzzy, but Jack's also like losing it at this point,
right?
So
he's why, like, though, like I always felt like they threw out reasons, but there were, as you're saying, like it was kind of like reasons on top of reasons, and later on they're like, he's just like, I was broken, and whatever, like the island was the only place where I could be fixed or something along those lines, and it ends up kind of lining up with Jacob's mission and stuff. But I don't know, like it just always seemed like a weird solution to me, like there's, especially for, a trained medical professional. I mean, surely there's better solutions for like, possible, like, I don't know, psychological issues or trauma or, maybe even some kind of mental illness or whatever it was that was plaguing him, addiction, I mean, these are all things that going to a magical island isn't necessarily the obvious.
Well, I think in the medical journal they call it islanditis, and there's only one cure for islanditis. He needed more island in his life. it's a weird thing. He just kind of, and that's another
And he's
problem with
also suicidal, like that.
well, that's the problem with the flash forward stuff. You kind of skip over some of his character development to get to that place.
Yeah.
Because like there was a point where things are sort of fine with him and Kate and Aaron, and then like
Yeah.
she ran and she went to talk to Cassidy or whatever for
Right.
Sawyer, and then like that was sort of the next nail in the coffin for
Yeah.
Jack's well-being.
Yeah.
At that point he's drinking, and but he still has this, like, it's almost like this idea of going back was just this seed planted in his head, and he had to and it just grew and grew and grew and grew,
Right.
it sort of irrationally, and to the extent that he was broken. I mean, that's what Jacob said, right? Before they all came to the island, they're all broken people. So he sort of went back and seemingly like sort of became his dad, just like a doctor with addiction issues or something, and his life sort of starts falling apart, right? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you that it's not quite clear. It is like more of a list of reasons than a sort of clear sort of illustration of that journey for Jack.
Yeah, and I think you're right that like the missing 3 years is really, and there's some of this with the Dharma stuff too, because that's the same 3 years basically, where they just kind of shortcut certain things because we don't actually have to see it develop in a natural way. But I do find it a bit odd. I mean, this definitely is a group, an ensemble, to use the French type show. And so, but
an ensemble.
Yeah, exactly. um, but I do think Jack is clearly positioned as the lead of the ensemble, and so I find it a bit odd that sort of the character arc that in a way should be the central one on the show is not fully spelled out. Like, I don't know. I just think that's a bit odd. I would think they would spend a bit more time on that. I know they had a lot of stuff to get to, but but yeah, it's strange that it was just like, well, this thing happened and this thing happened and this other thing happened, and somehow that adds up to we have to go back.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's almost like he was unable to be unhappy off the island, which means he's got to go back.
Right. Yeah, and that's basically what he says. But I guess like I wish they had illustrated that a bit more, because I feel like the connection with like ghosts and his father and stuff and the island is sort of like it's there in a sense, but it's also like a lot of that stuff wasn't even about the island. I mean, his problems with his father, predate the island. It's not like it's not like that was.
Well, that's the thing. I think he would have. He still had those problems. Once he got off the island, he went back to having his daddy issues, like all real cowboys. And which is kind of the problem. But yeah, I think, to me, I would think that the real crux was him seeing Christian, because he knew that was sort of whatever he assumes that is, a ghost or a delusion or something. It was emblematic of his state not being good, his mental state. And and I think he feels like if he goes back to the island, it'll sort of remedy his issues. And I think there's also this idea that even though life was chaotic, somehow on a weekly basis, when they were on the island, it's like clockwork. Every week there's a new problem for 45 minutes.
Literally centering around one character. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. And it all would crescendo towards the end after, a couple dozen episodes. It all got crazier. But yeah, I guess I was going to say, being on the island gave him something to focus on. and let him be that kind of hero character. And so even though he didn't sort of have control, which is part of Jack's personality, is he wants control.
Yeah.
Being like the guy in charge and dealing with the ups and downs on the island, I think gave him that but I guess it's kind of an addiction, really. It's another kind of addiction,
right. Yeah.
in a way. He's got the sort of action hero addiction or something, whatever you call it.
Yeah. Instead of getting addicted to exercise or something, he got addicted to being the leader
and the adrenaline from having to make these life and death choices all the time, and you wake up, you never know what's after you, sort of a thing. And I think it's similar maybe to someone who serves in the military in the war zone or something, or when they come back home. It's hard to adjust because they don't have the same kind of stimulus.
Right. See, and that could have been a story, but I feel like they didn't, Yeah.
I'm adding things to the plate that they didn't really put there, but...
But I feel like that's plausible, and maybe they even intend that to be subtext, but I'm just surprised that they didn't spell that out, because that, I don't know, that could be a natural explanation, but it's just kind of piled on with his daddy issues, his issues with Locke, who knew that was even so personal? I mean, I guess.
Oh, I was gonna say, there's your twist. Locke is his dad. During his time travel, he meets Jack's mom, and oh man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
This is why all cowboys have daddy issues, because his Locke is his daddy. Oh god.
Yikes.
Yikes indeed.
But yeah, I always, I don't know. Maybe I put too much weight on the Christian stuff from episode 10, and maybe I didn't put enough weight on the Locke stuff because the Man in Black assumes Locke's form, and once Jack is back there, it's permanent. He never appears as anybody else in the present, and so we never get to see Jack confront his father as the smoke monster, which is the thing he originally saw. I mean, he confirms that that's what it was, but we never really get to see that happen. We get to see Locke instead. And so they centered the drama there, and I don't know, it's a bit like, it reminds me of Sayid and Nadia versus Sayid and Shannon.
Yep.
Where it's somehow the island thing matters more, than the off-island thing. I mean, maybe that makes sense since that's what the show's about. Those bonds on the island were the most important things in their lives. And Christian's there at the end, but it's kind of just as a host, a guide, not really as part of the group. They're not trying to say, "Oh yeah, good old Christian." No one.
He's like a concierge.
Yeah, exactly.
To add some more French in here.
Yeah, is it even him? It's
such a good question.
It's weird. It doesn't have to be. Whereas the other ones, it seems like it really is them. He's such an exception to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's kind of an unresolved thing there, which they try to do with the story with Jack having the son. They try to keep that ball rolling, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like there's some big gaps there.
Yeah, part of the problem is Jack's needing to reconcile with his dad. He sort of has this sort of faux opportunity. Or opportunity. You're welcome out there. In terms of seeing his dad, but it's actually Man in Black, he sort of doesn't know that for the longest time. But then when he actually does get to see his dad in the Flash Sideways after they wake up and everything, it's sort of it's too late to reconcile because that was our past life, and the whole point is to leave that behind now. Yeah. And so there's no real need to hash anything out.
Yeah. We need to do that in 5 minutes, so
yeah,
we're not going to resolve our issues right now.
Yeah, aren't the issues resolved? Sure, I guess they're resolved.
Let's just say they're resolved already.
Doesn't death resolve your issues in life, Don't take them with you is the point, I guess. But so
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of strange, and I think you're right. They do this sort of mismatch thing where they make this conflict with Locke and Man in Black later, and then like Jack goes up against Man in Black, but he's in the guise of Locke. Jack needs like resolution with his dad, who Man in Black did take the guise of at some point.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
not
it
with Jack
almost,
ever,
but not
except in
with
that
Jack.
first one.
Yeah, and so it almost lines up, but by the end game, it just is about something else.
It just sort of
Um,
seems like a waste to use Christian so much
hmm
as the Man in Black version. Even like say hello to my son, like
Yeah,
it's like it's so weird to put all that stuff in, you know. I think Locke's even going to mention that, so maybe the Christian stuff is tied in with Locke, with the Locke motivation for going back, but that makes it even more disappointing that there's never a real, like, he's like, was that you, and he's like, yep, and it's like, that's it. I mean, okay. Like it's
yeah.
like
Like
that just feels so
why?
weak
Like
compared
what were you
to.
trying to do? Like
Yeah.
well, what's? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like the potential for interesting scenes revolving around that plot line was just squandered completely.
Hmm
It's like, why even? I mean, he's a good actor. He was interesting as the character, so I mean, that's a reason.
hmm
But it's weird to invoke that character so much. I mean, he's the face of the smoke monster until the Locke thing. You know, it's weird to do that and then like kind of do nothing with it. Like it doesn't really go anywhere. It's just like, well, he was a dead guy, and so I just looked like him for a while, mostly to people who didn't recognize him.
hmm
Like, so why?
Yeah,
What's
which
the
is mostly for
point?
the audience's benefit, I think, because the point with the smoke monsters, his trick is to look like dead people that the person knows to like
Yeah, that's usually
manipulate
what he
them.
does.
But he was
Exactly.
like, I don't know, maybe he enjoyed Christian Shepherd's, salt and pepper, silver fox thing. He's
Right.
like, I'm looking pretty good here.
No reason to change.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, there seems to be some reason he enjoyed that visage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Because, yeah, he could have looked like Locke's dad,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
if he wanted to fuck with Locke, you
yeah,
know? He could, I mean, yeah, he could have looked like so many, I mean, the opportunities were endless.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, it's just, I don't know, the fact that he was Christian so much of the time, and then it's just like, well, that's over now. The end.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. And when that's a central aspect, like the daddy issues are a central aspect of Jack's character. Obviously, I just think it's weird that I don't know, that they like walked up to the edge of
mm-hmm,
making that element of Jack's character play into the main plot, but didn't.
yeah,
It's weird. It's just like I just don't understand.
mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Well, and then you have this whole thing with Jacob being sort of an absentee father figure to
Yeah.
all of these characters,
Right.
sort of morally or metaphysically or whatever, like in
Yeah.
terms of what's really going on. And they never really got to hash anything out, once Jack actually gets to talk to Jacob either.
Yeah. That's true.
So that's par for the course, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember a ton from this finale, so I'm really excited to have my mind blown all over again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember this one being a good one. I think for like season finale stories, like I think
Hmm
this one has a pretty interesting, engaging sort of action oriented plot. Like there's a lot of different elements going on, and yeah, I think I found it um, strangely more exciting than the other ones. Even though like maybe it's
hmm
not, I don't know. It's not mythological in the same way, I guess.
Yeah, the stakes were like bigger, I think, later
Yeah.
because they were getting towards the end. But yeah, this was just a fun, action packed. Is
Yeah, it was
this
just
is this the one where Saeed kills a guy with his feet?
No, that was season 3.
Was that season 3 on
Yeah,
the
that was
beach?
when the others were
Oh,
holding
that's right.
them hostage on the
That's
beach.
right.
Yeah.
Hurley drives in. Okay.
So yeah, but there is
Ugh.
a Saeed moment coming in this one,
Okay,
which I
yeah.
definitely remember.
Saeed, they ruined his character.
Oh, they just shit all over. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to talk about Jack's arc not being complete, it's
Mm-hmm.
not even. It's way better
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
what
it's
they
better
did
than
to
what Saeed got.
Saeed.
Yeah.
Saeed, yeah, and Saeed's story could have been really interesting, and
Mm-hmm.
they chose to just say, fuck it.
Yep. Yep. Maybe he's claimed, maybe he's not. Oh well, it's
Who
over
cares?
now.
The end. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what happened. Yeah, and I feel like he only ends up with Shannon because she was a main character on the show in season
Yeah,
1.
I
Like that's
agree.
the only reason, so that when you have that shot of them all in the church, it reminds you of what the cast looked like in the beginning, and it sort
Yeah.
of comes full circle. And
Season 1
totally,
got too much precedence at the end.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was a pro. I don't know. I don't know exactly why they did that. If it was because, if it was nostalgia, if it was because the show was the most popular in season 1, they thought that would be sort of hit the most with the audience, or if they really thought the story justified that. But to me, it just seemed like the later characters really got screwed over. Like it's weird.
Yeah, that's true. But it would almost be like the idea is those later characters who aren't in the church at the end get their own version of that
Mm-hmm.
somehow.
Yeah.
Like Ana Lucia is still out there
Right.
trying to come to terms with her life in the Flash
Right.
Sideways or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like, but didn't she have an important relationship with these people? Was this
Yeah.
not the most important time in her life? What
Yeah.
happened on the island? Like, does she get to, does she get her version of this, and it's all fake versions of the Losties, or
Right.
something? Like,
Right.
yeah, it's a bit weird.
And if it's just because she killed Shannon or something, like, I find that to be kind of bullshit.
It can't be that because Michael's there, isn't he? Is it Michael? There
No,
again?
Michael's stuck on the
Oh,
island.
that's right. What am I thinking? Of course he's not.
Speaking of characters who got screwed by the show.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Of course he's not.
Possibly even worse than Saeed.
I think it's something like the people at the very bottom. It's Locke and Michael, and I think, and I'm trying to figure out who's got it worse. I think Locke probably has it worse than Michael, even though Locke does sort of make it, by the end, but he just his sort of life.
Michael got a redemption in life.
That's the difference.
least.
Yeah, Michael got the redemption in life. He didn't get the afterlife. Locke did not get redeemed in life at all. He got his reputation tarnished to hell. Everything, and then like the last memory people have of him is him tormenting them, and with Man in Black using his face.
Yeah, and they even show Sun like remembering that in the afterlife.
Yeah.
So
it's the best. It's so nice. And then and then he gets killed by his nemesis Ben and doesn't even know why.
Yeah.
So I think Locke. Yeah, it's close, but yeah. Oh, Michael.
I mean, Locke got more screen time, so it was a bit more fleshed out, I guess. But but in terms of the
you know what?
satisfaction, like, it's pretty low. Anyway, sorry.
I was gonna say Michael does get the what's the Coda thing called?
The new man in charge.
New man in charge. So they at least get that idea that they're gonna go save him from the island purgatory or whatever.
That's true. And they didn't have to do that.
They did not have to. I'm surprised they did that.
I'm pretty surprised they did that too. So yeah, at least they had some awareness that the Michael story was a bit abrupt and frustrating and like needlessly mean to the character. Like, it just seemed like, because Jack he at the beginning of season 4 he has a gun and puts it to Locke's head and pulls the trigger, and it just happens to not be loaded. Otherwise he could have shot Locke in the face right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a bit of a stretch to me that Ana Lucia's mistake. Clearly it was a mistake. She didn't mean to shoot Shannon. She definitely thought it was the others. It
Mm-hmm.
was clearly established. The whole point of that story was how paranoid she was about the others, and she's hearing the whispers, and
Yeah.
she hears a noise and fires, and it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not. It's totally understandable, just like Michael's situation was, and so it just doesn't seem. I don't know. It doesn't seem fair to me that she gets excluded, and the freighter people, it's like, sure, they weren't there in season 1, but I mean, we're talking about like a month. I mean, surely these later characters also went through a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
characters, you have characters who even time traveled, who even like had some dharma time,
Yeah.
like Faraday, who didn't get admitted to the club.
Well, and he's pretty integral to the plot of the show. I mean, with the
Yeah.
whole incident thing
Oh
and,
man, his grand theory.
Jughead. Yeah, his whole plan that he laid out. That was wrong.
That was so wrong. We're the variables. We can
Oh,
change
no.
everything.
Oh, no. He was, like, wrong, but kind of right. It
Mm-hmm.
did something.
It did something. It did something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, change the past. It did not.
No, it didn't change the past. Oh, Faraday. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess they could have just had all the characters at the church.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the considerations there a bit. It's just like Libby's just there because it's a +1 for Hurley.
Hurley needed a +1, yeah.
The fact that Desmond got in also like bothers me to
Yeah.
a certain extent because
Yeah.
we just saw actually in the last episode where like Desmond's like, I'm never going back to that island again,
Yep.
brother.
Yep.
Fuck that. Fuck all this.
He really, I mean, he's got some integral stuff to play later, but like his time on the island was not that extensive with the Losties.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Barely one season before
Yeah.
he's out of there at the beginning of season 4. He never looks back. He doesn't come back until late in season 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the other Desmond stuff is flash forward stuff, and even that he's not helping them go back. He's not really doing anything but standing there and reacting to those plot lines play out that they've already set up about like Ben trying to kill Penny and stuff. He's just kind of a bystander for all that.
Yeah.
It's not even like he's not interested in going back. He doesn't necessarily care about. I think that was part of what we talked about in I think it was Catch-22, and it plays into the Charlie story too. That it wasn't clear that Desmond really cared about anyone but Penny, and it's like
you could rephrase that and say it's clear he didn't care about anyone but Penny.
So yeah, so then but then why does he get in the church?
Yeah.
Like how did you get it? How did you make it when like these other characters? I
There's
don't know.
there's that sense that their fates are intertwined. He meets Jack before they go to the island and that kind of a thing. But
Right.
outside of that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's an interesting thing I was just imagining is if all the sort of main characters on the show, good or bad, were at the church at the end.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that, like, and I know they wanted the Flash Sideways to be specifically this place that they made together because of their bond, but
oh boy.
in terms of
We'll get there.
yeah, but in terms of it just being an afterlife and that we the whole point of this is to be over your problems in your life and move on. It would have been interesting to have the bad guys there. It would have been interesting to have Kimi and Omar there, and then to all sort of understand the part that they played in the making everyone's life hell and how useless it was by from this perspective. That would have been interesting to see like 40 people walk out of the church, into the beyond and be all be together, even though they were trying to kill each other. Have Rousseau there, have Alex there, with Carl, and like have all these people who from the audience perspective, bonded with. You know what I mean? Not just
Yeah.
who did the Losties bond with on the show, but who did the
Right.
audience bond with over time.
Yeah.
I think that would have been it could have been an interesting way to go too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, I think that would have been more interesting, even if it, the tone they wanted to go for would have been a little bit harder to swallow. But I think the potential there, yeah, and it wouldn't have been so like weirdly exclusionary. Like
Yeah.
I just, I didn't really understand. I mean, yeah, aside from nostalgia or specifically trying to target like the audience that remembers season one, I mean, I don't even know why you have to do that at that point. It just seems like the fans who are in it now generally should be fans who were watching the show. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who tune in for just the last episode, but I feel like the big season one audience like mostly tapered off by season three. I mean, that was part of the end date and stuff. Like this can't go on forever. Like we need to like announce a date. And
Yeah.
I think the audience was relatively steady after that. Kind of maintaining a certain level, and so I think the people had generally been following the show, and so they didn't necessarily need to just see season one characters because it's like, oh, those are the ones I recognize. Like, I mean, I'm fine with incorporating the season one characters, but yeah, not to the exclusion of the later ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Who I would argue, I mean, if you're talking about someone like Boone, or far more significant.
Yeah.
To the lives of the characters and to the story in general, to the audience. We spent way more time than we did with Boone. I mean, God. He dies in like episode 17 of season 1. I mean, that's not a lot of Boone.
That's not a lot of Boone.
He didn't do. I mean, he just helped Locke for a while. Like that was it.
Yeah, he wasn't quite a boon to the plot of the show.
Exactly. I mean, there are like second string others who I feel like contributed more than Boone did.
Well, then you have Rosa Bernard, who are like season 2 characters.
Oh yeah.
So it's not even just season 1 stuff. People. So it's weird how they decided who was going to be there, because like Penny's there too, right? With Desmond, right?
Yeah.
Penny, come on.
Penny
come
really
on
shouldn't have been there.
Come on.
She's only there because Desmond was there.
Like she never stepped foot on the island, right?
Yeah. No, never.
Come on.
Not once.
Come on.
Not once.
Come on, guys. Come on.
I know. That's part of why I call bullshit on Penny. But it's just like, well, if Desmond's going to be there. But I'm like, why does Desmond even need to be there? Sure, he was on the island, but he never wanted to be.
Because The Constant is everyone's favorite episode. That's why.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, sure, that was a good episode, fine. But like... that episode was also about how Penny was the thing that mattered to him the most. It's just like, they should have their own thing,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. It'd be interesting if they had sort of said that people make their own Flash Sideways so they have these sort of encapsulated realities where they can deal with the remnants of their issues from life. But then once they're done with that, then they move on to the collective place where like you could have all the characters there.
Right.
So that might have been interesting to see. Like, okay, yeah, the Losties created their own place, but Kimi and Omar and those bad guys had their own place, and then all these other people who were maybe in different silos had their own place to deal with their issues, and then once they're all done, now we'll all be at the church, and it'll be all of us moving on to, whatever's beyond the white doors there, into the white light.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's. I kind of understand why they didn't do that, but I do think that would make more sense. And yeah, obviously part of the problem with the Flash Sideways is that it was a misdirection the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that boxed them in certain ways. I kind of wish they didn't have to do that, but then like Yeah. It's sort of like, what's the narrative tension of this if you know from the beginning that's the afterlife, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what they were able to pull out of it, that, what is this? Did the bomb create a new universe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna all go back to the island and reset time, or like, what are they, you know, like, what does it all mean? It kept that thing alive, you know. On the
Yeah.
other hand, it made the story worse. So
Yeah, it's a thing where it's great the first time you watch it, but then you get to the end and you're like, oh, but now it sucks.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a problem. That is true to a certain extent with this flash forward storyline, but I think that takes it to another level
Yeah.
because it's sort of like, you know, there's almost like no stakes to the flash sideways once you know. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of
Well,
just
it's all over.
yeah, it's kind of just like waiting around until they
Mm-hmm.
fucking figure it out. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we're dead. Let's go to the church and GTFO. The end.
Yeah, it's so weird. Somebody just tells you you're dead, and you're like, oh,
Oh
you know
yeah,
what? I thought something was weird.
how
Thanks
about
for
that?
telling me. I guess I'll move on now.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know. And yeah, Desmond's thing, like, ooh, I'm gonna hit lock with a car. It's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like I'm badass. Like, but you
Yeah, I'm
know,
gonna force everyone to wake up, regardless if they're
yeah,
ready or not.
yeah. Isn't that kind
Just
of
because
bullshit?
I want Penny. I want
I
Penny.
want fucking Penny.
Yeah,
And because
he's
Widmore put
just
me in a box again.
yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna put me in a box. Now I want Penny. I need to find Penny. I'm gonna go into the light and find Penny.
even the cave thing was about Penny. He was
It's
like,
all
yeah,
about
I'm gonna go
Penny.
down there. I'm gonna find Penny again, brother.
He's never interested in the island for the
No,
island's sake. Once,
never.
I mean, all that's, I guess, all that stuff with Kelvin just ruined him on the
Yep,
island. And then once
yep.
the, Swan Station was imploded, he didn't care about the island. He was
No,
like trying to get it past him in his rearview mirror, and
yeah,
he was just trying to move forward towards Penny,
yeah.
and he never got invested really in like the deeper mysteries of the island and
No,
what it was all really
not
like,
even a little
why they
bit.
were even really there.
No.
Yeah. Hmm.
No, I mean, you know, he had to be kidnapped to go back to the island in the first place. Obviously, he resisted until he thought, "Oh, here's how I get back to Penny," and then he just went along with it.
Yep.
You know, like, well, I'll just go down to the cave and I'll go back to Penny, and this will be fine.
And then he like screws that up, and
Of
like
course he
Jack has to go
does.
do it. And it's just like turning the donkey wheel. There's this thing on the island where the first person who does it screws it up, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have to have the second person
Go
do it.
down and like fix it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. I think you're right, though. I feel like that's actually the most correct thing on this podcast so far. Everyone's favorite episode is The Constant, and that's why. That's why Desmond is so featured.
Hmm.
You know, because I remember actually I was combing through the fuselage, um, you know, in the last week or so because I was
The
like,
old website.
yeah, yeah. They still have the forums up. I think you can't post them anymore, but they're just there for archive purposes, you know. So I
Wow.
pulled up my old account and I searched through just seeing like what I was saying. You know, mostly from season 6 era. And one thing that was interesting to read was there were a lot of people, and like one post in particular that I responded to, like, "Where's Desmond? Where's Desmond? I can't. I want to see Desmond. Desmond now." and
Wow.
and I was like, I don't see why Desmond would be on the show right now. Like from where his story was, he was happy. He was with Penny. You know, they had a baby. Their problems were resolved. Why would he be back? You
Mm-hmm.
know? And of course the answer is he got fucking kidnapped.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't do it of his own accord. Like
Nope.
there's no reason why he would come back. And so it's like you just have to force him back, and that's almost like the writers kidnapping him, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Desmond. I don't care what we wrote your story to be.
Sorry, we gave you a comfortable ending, but now we have to take it back and
Yeah. We
make
just
you do one last hurdle.
have to put you through this because everyone loves the Constant.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Oh my god. If they never made the Constant in the
Yeah.
crazy universe where they you know where they never made the constant. Like, I think Desmond could have just not come back. It would have been fine.
Yep. He totally would have been fine. Yeah, and they
He's
tried
even
to
like
make him
such an accessory to the ending. Like, you're saying, he goes down and he does it, but it's not right, and Jack has to fix it.
Well, and they did this half-ass thing where they tried to make him seem special because of his connection to electromagnetism. Something that happened when he was in the Swan Station allowed him to be able to be zapped with this stuff and not kill him, and it sends his mind teleporting to the future or the past or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was so half done and half important that it didn't really sink, I don't think. So yeah, I the Desmond and Penny are really, sort of the central love story on the show. I mean, you have Jack and Kate, you have Juliet and Sawyer, but something about the constant, something about love knowing no boundaries of space time. It's bigger, it's mythological. And it's never a will they, won't they, with like it was with the other characters, where there was these love triangles and stuff, and who is it gonna be, Skate, or is it gonna be Jake or whatever, and Jawyer versus whatever.
Jawyer? I don't remember Jawyer.
I don't know, what did they call Juliet and Sawyer?
That's, I thought you meant Jax.
Jack and Sawyer.
Yes.
There was some sexual tension there.
There was a little bit, but I just didn't remember that. I don't think they ever came. Actually, Joliet probably was used for that. Sorry, what did you say? Jawyer. Soliet or Soliet, something like that. I think I saw.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a little harder than Jate and Skate.
Tough. Yeah.
That one kind of rolls nicely. No, it was so they will. They will. It's just as soon as they get together, they will. The only problem is they're separated by space and time, as you mentioned.
But that's no barrier for love.
Exactly. I'll never stop looking. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Definitely. And I get why that lands, and that's fine. But his story resolved. I don't know. It was fine. They were fine.
Yeah, they were fine.
It's why did that have to be a thing? Because everybody liked the constant.
Because everybody liked
the constant. I'm not going to get that out of my head because I think that's
like the answer.
It's so true. It's I think I feel like I didn't really. I knew that the constant was, kind of overrated, and I knew that everyone said it was the best episode of The Last Ever. But I didn't think about the consequences that probably had on the show. Because I do know that in terms of season 2, the pre-constant era of Desmond, definitely not liked as much as the constant. People did like Flashes Before Your Eyes, but I don't think they liked it as much as the constant. Anyway, I think Desmond being highlighted in season 3 was partially to fill the void left by Mr. Echo. I think that Mr. Echo was originally, we're going into speculation territory here. I'm not 100% sure about this, but they have said that the storylines they planned for Mr. Echo sort of ended up getting given to Locke, more obviously, and also Desmond. So, anyway, I think that Mr. Echo was going to be the one who would see the future in season 3. That's my theory, at least. And then, that's sort of the seed, even though it's totally different, the explanation at the time and blah, blah, blah. That is sort of the original kernel of the idea that became the constant, and then later he's like Electro-Magneto Man, he can withstand insane amounts of electromagnetism, and also his consciousness travels places, including the afterlife. So Mr. Echo's death, I think, is also the fact that the actor didn't want to be on the show anymore. I think that's also related to the fact that Desmond was even a featured character, and like the reason why we got the Constant.
Yeah.
The butterfly effect, it's crazy.
Those damn butterflies.
So I think you could trace it back. Because I wish I could see the show where Mr. Echo was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Through season 3 and 4 and 5 and however long his arc was going to go. It was clearly planned. They directly stated it was planned for more than that. I wish I could know.
I just wanted him to finish building that church.
Yeah. Yeah, that church plot went nowhere, but that's for really obvious reasons, because there was like one episode after that where he died. So they didn't really, I mean, in the flashback they're like, you owe Yemi a church, and it's like, okay, fine, there's your answer.
Yeah, but here's your church, Yemi. Here's your church.
Here's my church. Yeah, and that was a good example too, where of the thing that I feel like they meant to do with Jack and Christian. They have Echo and his issues with Yemi being worked out via the smoke monster. It just seems like that was part of the idea. I don't know.
But the smoke monster didn't really want to do that with that many people. Yeah. It seems like that should have been his MO with everybody. Like, I'm gonna listen. First of all, I just want you dead. Like, you're on the island, I want you dead. So, but I'm gonna torture you first. I'm gonna appear to you as somebody that that you have some sort of guilt with, and then I'm gonna try to make you confess, and then I'm gonna kill you. Like, it would have been interesting to see that actually play out, like, consistently with multiple people. And
I agree. Yeah.
But for some reason, like,
he was really selective.
He was really selective, yeah.
It was like a very, very small group of individuals.
Because he's not really a judger. That's not his role, really. He just did it a couple times.
Yeah.
And, with Echo, it's because he expected to be judged,
Right. It's that Catholic sort of, like, afterlife, guilt, sin sort of concept, like, hovering in the background there that he's capitalizing on. It was the same way with Richard, actually. They basically said, his story was along similar lines. And so he's just, like, co-opting that thing. It's not clear that he's committed to that thing.
Well, the Catholic Bible talks about smoke monsters judging you all the time, so they were primed to believe it.
And then there's the Ben thing, and I feel like the Ben thing is really the weirdest one. It's the most obvious one in the sense that he wants to manipulate Ben for a really specific reason.
Yeah.
And he does appear as Alex, which I think, falls in line with that idea of appearing as the person that, will be the most psychologically effective, I guess, against, the target. But that one is, like, totally practical. Ben's like, I want to be judged. And he's like, yeah, right. So, be angry at Jacob.
Whose fault this is?
And do
not yours. It's Jacob's fault, and just follow along. Yeah, and you better follow him, or else I'll kill you.
Yeah, or I'll kill you. Yeah, just threats. Like, it's like he's turned into a mob boss or something. Like, it's just like, that just seems so lame.
It's like, it's the exact same way as we all know, like, when you go into a church confessional, and you're telling the priest your sins, and the priest is like, listen, whose fault this is? The devil. And you should follow him or else I'll kill you. Wait, is that how it goes?
Yeah. I think so.
All right, you wanna get into the episode?
Yeah. I guess we've wandered a bit from the point, but
yeah,
it's a rich tapestry. It all ties in somehow. So yeah, let's get back to Oceanic 6 and Island current business.
I always wonder if there's a person out there whose name is Rich Tapestry.
Richard Tapestry.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm Rich Tapestry. Mr. Tapestry.
That would be a cool name. I like that.
All right. Well, let's move on to the commentary part.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, get your players ready if you're going to sync up with us for some this episode.
There's no place like home, part 1.
For some whatever this is. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blue sky.
Blue skies.
Nothing is gonna go wrong here, guys. Why does its altitude meter say 0?
Is that 0?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
yikes.
Production mistake. I bet they're not really flying a plane.
Oh, God. Yeah, Rapid's Foot will save you.
What?
TV's Instant Row.
Thank you.
Oh, that'd be great if she brushed her hair back and she like had a Bajoran earring on.
Yes.
What? They're landing back on the island? Oh.
Hawaii?
What? That's where they film. What's happening?
Oh, this will probably be the only time on the show where Hawaii plays Hawaii.
So we have no context for this, right? Besides knowing that some people got off the island.
Exactly. We don't know how they got here. They're still playing the flash forward game.
Okay.
Because, yeah, the story is... these 3 parts are going to explain how they got here.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that was the writers saying we couldn't come up with a better thing, but it kind of works.
I agree. I agree.
Desmond didn't press the button and it made our plane crash. And that's the story, right?
And then there was a boar.
Mm-hmm. Didn't use that, son. Didn't use it.
That's called acting.
Mm-hmm.
Use your real sense memory. Someone needs to mow that
that landing strip.
There. Yeah. It's a little ratty looking. No offense. I don't know.
So I guess we're all wondering like where Claire is. Why does she have the baby?
Yeah, though we've already seen her get kidnapped, so
yeah,
I feel like you can make some assumptions.
Claire's dead.
Like Claire's dead. Yeah, actually, that was a theory.
Yeah.
That was definitely a theory. In fact, I believed that theory. In fact, I still think there's some evidence for that theory.
Claire died.
Yeah, she died, but she came back, like a Saeed type thing.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I don't really believe that. I'm just saying, like, it's not...
There is something there with, like, she died in her house explosion or something.
Yeah. There was a cut scene where she was, like, delirious, and she said she was seeing her father.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's something there, but yeah, it's not really true. So this music here that actually was originally written for the Oceanic 6 became like the signature emotional sort of sentimental music for the show, because they use this at the end of the show as well, even though it was originally just written for this Oceanic 6 reunion thing. Oh no, Jack's mom's there.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're a real character. I forgot.
Yeah. She's
not. Kate has no one.
Much. Yeah, of course not.
Oh, Kate.
Who showed up for you? No, what's her name?
Is Dad still around? Okay. And it's funny because you get the sense that like, oh, Hurley's told his parents so much about Saeed, and they're like finally meeting him, but of course
Yeah.
it's not true.
Right. No, it's just like, here's this guy I was on a
Who's
plane
this
with.
stranger? Yeah. Hmm.
Wow, that was a really abrupt cut.
Yeah.
They.
Hmm.
Uh
Wow, son with the big ideas.
oh.
The orchid.
Oh shit. Not the orchid. Do they mean the secondary protocol? They don't know about
Oh
that, do they? Or
no.
do they? Well, we're about to find out.
So Juliet doesn't know what the orchid is?
Oh, Juliet's gotta know what the orchid is.
Didn't she just say she doesn't?
Did she really?
Pretty sure she did.
It was in her flashback. Like, Goodwin was talking about it.
Hey, maybe she's still on Ben's side. This is a long, long con.
Like, she's the one who, like, took them there to stop the people from doing stuff.
Jack
Oh,
said
that wasn't the orchid. That's the Tempest. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
getting confused.
Yeah. That's what I
Never
was gonna say.
mind. Scratch that. Maybe she doesn't have a clue about the orchid. Oh, he does know the secondary protocol. Oh
not the
no, it's in
notebook.
the journal. Oh, come on. A page where you made a doodle for the orchid. Come on, Desmond. I mean, Faraday.
Nice.
I love that.
Because he's allergic to orchids.
He's so good at like writing stuff in that journal that
Yeah.
it doesn't really help that much.
Why is that even in the journal?
I know. The journal never made any sense.
I forgot how that even happened.
I know at a certain point he's like, this is everything I ever learned about the Dharma Initiative. And it's like, why did you write that in a journal?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, right. The island got a little pissed again.
Or Jack just broke his stitches because he's running through the jungle.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Damon.
Just discharge. You believe that, huh? That was that believable? Uh-oh, it's
That's
Vincent. It's always Vincent, except when it's not.
Oh, who is it? Oh, okay. What? They always come out one at a time.
They have to. I had a baby, y'all. This island weird. I guess Juliet fixed them fertility issues too good. She was dead. I guess Kate has to raise her now.
Guess so. All right. Who wants to take this baby?
1, 2, 3, not it. Oh, I forgot about New
New
Otherton.
Otherton. Yeah.
What was the original Otherton?
Oh, shit.
Clearly in England.
Ooh.
Aaron hasn't eaten since last night, clearly.
Yeah. This is finale Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be a fun thing for you to do.
She had a great look. It was like, oh, what? Forever? Don't you remember that speech you gave us? Oh, this.
Yeah.
God, this was such a huge moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Michelle Forbes is squandered. It's too bad.
Completely. And it's sort of a casting misdirect because you feel
Mm-hmm.
like she's going to have a bigger role than she does,
Yeah.
or that she's like being deceptive when she
Mm-hmm.
isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She's like hiding something. But that's the weird thing. The lie is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
108. So this is the only proof we have.
Yep.
How come you guys aren't really tan?
Oh God. Like the obvious question. It's a good one. I feel like the real question is how did Vincent survive?
Mm.
I know he's not part of the Oceanic Six, but
What?
what?
Not true. No last name.
Libby. Just say Libby.
That he did technically drown
Yep.
before
And I
they
think
did
Boone died of
leave.
internal injuries.
I mean, yeah, that's partly true. Don't cut to the dad.
It's weird that he's like still on that page.
I think the dad. I think they would actually have his money if he was presumed dead.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, this is weird.
Kind of.
And it's
Ah,
weird because he did die. Well, she
right.
thinks he died.
Right. But she's gonna say no.
Mm-hmm.
The body is
You'll have to go
what?
back to the island for that, Jack. Oh, don't forget about that.
Yeah, that story should not work.
Why?
Yeah.
Whoa?
Arr.
Do you mean Shannon Carlisle?
Hey, you will always be my number 2. They just undercut all of this with that ending.
It's so weird, yeah. And the fact that they do reunite and she gets an extra tragic death,
yeah.
it seems like they really should have wound up together in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was even in the Flash Sideways. It's like, but they had to get Shannon back in there, and was it just like too awkward? Like,
It should have been Shannon and Boone together in the end and just be like, listen, I know it's weird, but we're soulmates, okay? Just deal with it.
Just go with it. Just be Game of Thrones about it. It's fine.
Exactly.
America's ready.
Oh, we got the adventure music going.
Yeah.
On the high seas.
Yeah.
I love it. This is great.
The Zodiac? Is that what they called it?
Saeed's going to ferry everybody back like 3 or 4 people at a time. It's a great plan.
6 at a time.
Oceanic 6 at a time.
Ooh.
Oh, snap.
Oh, shit.
Bugger me.
I mean, aren't they coming back, though? I feel like they don't have a clear plan. They also don't know about the explosives.
Once they're all on the freighter, somehow that'll prevent them from them being killed on the freighter?
Yeah. It's rigged. It's literally rigged with explosives. So it's just like clearly a bad plan. Uh-oh. Wait.
They just hit the orchids in greenhouse.
Very carefully. There's Ben's answer. And, writing reasons, mostly.
And we have to wait to the finale of the season. Jeez.
Yeah, we're not going to move the island in episode 4. That's stupid, Hurley. You know it.
Yeah. That's why your Star Wars script will never go anyway, Hurley.
It's kind of like the failsafe in the Swan Station, where it's like, once you introduce it, it's like, why didn't you just fucking use that before? Yeah. Well, you can't. It's dangerous.
Oh, no, not the crackers he's going to eat.
The fucking crackers. No, they're still good, man. That's a Dharma preserved thing there. They got science.
Yeah.
God, those should be so stale.
Oh, this.
I remember this.
He's like, those are 15 years old.
Seriously, they should be like moldy years or something.
They should have been crumbled, like not even whole.
Yeah, that's crazy. Uh-oh.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Why is even anybody up there?
He just knows.
Who do you think?
I remember this on the podcast. We were speculating about who he was communicating with.
Oh, what did we say? Because I have no clue.
I don't remember what we said, actually, but I remember that we talked about it, because I don't think they answered the question. But I'm pretty sure that it's the others.
Yeah.
He says, who do you think? So it's sort of like, who would the obvious people
Jacob
communicate with?
Oh, it's our boat now?
Yeah. Since when did you get
Do you even know what Kimi's up to?
Yeah, I invented the bearing.
They call me Mr. Bearing. Kate looks like she's about to sneeze. Oh, can you now?
Uh-oh.
She's like, I've been tracking Jack since season 1.
All right, now who's gonna take this baby?
Right.
Nearest woman, go. Have fun.
Mm-hmm. Pretend it's your baby. It'll be practice.
All right, random red shirts and
Yep.
Sun, go. Or is Sun not even going after all that?
Yeah, she looks like she's on the boat. Yeah, she's
Okay,
already
she
in
is
there.
gonna go. All right. Oh, Juliet's not gonna go.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, all these people are not gonna make it.
It's basically like, who wants to time travel and who does it?
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't do this.
He's taking credit. Come on, Jin.
Wow. Wow.
I told you. Shut up. That's ridiculous. Oh, this is the first part.
Oh.
I forgot about this. This is actually the
Uh-huh.
prelude to the Widmore scene.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh-oh.
this is like his company got bought, right?
Oh, yes, right. That's what I was like. What are they talking about? Yeah, we're about to find out. That's how writing works.
You wouldn't understand.
Oh.
That's something you'd understand.
Ah, so Sun is going. Oh, I guess she already has used
Hmm.
the Oceanic Settlement to buy the the Pike Industries.
I guess you used 5 different banks for that.
Apparently, I don't really know why that involved five
It
different
seems like
banks.
to hide who was behind it. Yeah, she just told him.
Right. Oh, I remember this. The two people. We talked about that a lot. The two people. Who's the other one? It ends up being a whole thing. I think the other one ends up being Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Ben? Ben? But okay, because Ben killed Kimi, and Kimi was wired with explosives, and the explosives,
There we
quote
go.
unquote, killed Jen. I mean, that's the logic, but then, oh, it's a whole thing, because then how does she even know about that?
Mm.
She like, had, like, you know, access to the show somehow.
You think if a meteorite hit your favorite chicken restaurant, you wouldn't go back there again, but
Yeah, they can't resist the Mr. Clux references. Oh, I
mm-hmm.
remember this scene. Oh, God. It's all coming back to me now that we watch it.
Yep.
I remember they're trying to fake us out with this. It's like,
Oh
ooh,
no.
shit.
They never left the island.
It's like a hallucination.
It's a holodeck.
It's a holodeck. Oh my God. That would be a crazy reveal.
Like, why is there a coconut there though? Like someone accidentally dropped a coconut?
Were they fucking with him? Is it part
Like,
of the
yeah,
plan?
why would you screw with him? Like, you
Yeah.
just was trapped on this tropical island. Here's a coconut to make you remember that trauma.
Yeah, maybe someone just dropped it and it's a coincidence. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Jesus is not a weapon.
In the right hands, it is. Gotta be great if he dropped it and there's drugs inside.
Yeah, that would be really. I forgot. Oh yeah, I forgot about that whole thing.
I guess that was the Mary
Yeah, it
statue.
was Mary statues. Still though,
Yeah.
similar idea. Yeah, these are the fun times.
Yeah, everything's great.
Everybody's just chilling.
There's no secrets that we're hiding that's causing us internal conflict.
Saeed
She
and
even came.
Nadia.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, they're really proving the point that she should have been in the end.
Yeah, they're saying they have an island theme, so I think they just had coconuts and one got dropped. That's my theory, at least. Uh oh.
He still thinks he's cursed.
I know. And plus, he has new money, so like the new money shouldn't
Yeah.
be cursed.
Yeah.
It's like, eh. I mean,
So this is so later, although earlier, he gets in the car and drives crazy and he's on the news.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
we're seeing what leads up to that. I think.
Oh, Rabbit's Foot. I didn't catch that. Rabbit's Foot like the pilot had.
Oh, you're right. I didn't catch that either. I didn't catch that just now. Oh
The
shit.
numbers.
Yeah. And that's the answer.
And this is the whole theme of the show in one scene.
Yep.
Is the meaning he places on that.
And-
One theory is it's a coincidence. The other theory is it's something you should run away from.
And Cheech is totally right, I think.
Yeah.
It's just a weird coincidence.
Yep.
It does kind of mean that, yeah. That's what happens to Jin. Yeah, you did
Huh?
decide to stay.
Yeah, he did.
I feel like he could run away, though. Would they
Mhm.
really stop him? I don't know. Actually, he does make it off, so I guess it's gonna work.
It'll be fine.
Oh.
But why is it scary? It's just a greenhouse, you said.
Mm-hmm. Secondary protocol. Thanks for the exposition.
Yeah. What?
He implied it was because of Locke. Did he really say that? He still didn't say why Widmore wants to find the island, though. He implied he
No.
knows, but we never really find out. God damn it.
Mhm.
It's so frustrating.
Well, it's just because he got kicked out. I mean, that's
Yeah,
sort of the
yeah, maybe
answer
that's
is
what
he
he
only, he just
means.
wants back what he had.
He wants what he had before, yeah. Oh, shit.
Why does Widmore know about the orchid?
Widmore?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the others knew about all the Dharma stations.
Yeah, but in terms of its ability to move the island.
Well, why does Ben know about it? I mean, it's got to be the same reason.
Which is?
Which is, I have no fucking idea. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh, okay. Maybe
It's
it'll
weird.
become clear.
It's weird because it's not a Dharma thing, even. It
Yeah.
predates that, and we even see, like, the Dharma 70s era when they see the donkey wheel, like, through the shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they don't even know. what it does. It's not clear that they know what it does. They know it has something to do with time and blah blah blah, but it's not clear that they know what happens when you turn the wheel. So then how do the others know? I really have no idea. Like, unless Jacob and or Man in Black told them, I don't know how else they would know.
Well, Jacob wouldn't tell him.
Exactly. So there's one theory left.
All right.
That's all I got.
What?
What? Forgot about this. They're gonna get all these reunions happening.
Yeah. Doesn't just fix the engines?
Apparently. I don't know why he... Or did Michael fix them? And he just was there. The fathometer?
Is that how much you can fathom the fathometer?
Is this guy the captain's brother or something? Like,
he clearly...
What's going on?
Like, yeah. I was going to say, where's the captain? But he got killed.
He got killed. That's why it's this guy. Oh, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, who is it? Oh, they already know. Wow. You know this Yahoo? Not exactly.
He said right now. He didn't say for the entire future.
That's true. But I'm not sure if he even knows about the explosives.
Yeah. Wasn't he... Who's the one who saw Kimmy putting it on? There were two people.
Oh, right.
I think it was him and...
Oh, he did see... He saw the arm thing. Definitely. But I don't know if he knows what
when
it
they
does.
when they were gonna take off, I thought he mentioned the explosive part when he killed the captain.
I thought we didn't know. We still don't know what it is.
You still don't know. Okay. Man in Black.
Here is the long-awaited funeral. And yeah, it's obviously...
That's the same church.
It does seem like the same church.
Oh man, I never noticed that. I never thought it was the same church.
Is it actually supposed to be the same church? That's
I think it's supposed to be the same church.
I
which
guess
would
this
make
is
sense.
in LA, yeah. That's weird. It makes
like
sense.
why why use a different church?
Yeah. I guess it was supposed to be for his father's funeral in the afterlife as well. So it's sort of like they circle back to this. I guess that also makes sense then with using the Oceanic 6 music.
Yeah.
Because it actually ties in with this. I don't think I ever made that connection.
Yeah, I didn't.
Wow.
This is so weird because Jack's all happy and well-adjusted, and like he's made peace with his dad, and his mom's back in his life, and everything's gonna be great until Aaron just never gets clothes. Like he's still in a blanket, even off the island. Why won't they give him clothes?
Oh my god, yes! Give Aaron some clothes. God, that's crazy. I didn't notice that.
Uh-oh, Australian.
Yeah, yeah. Blonde.
Uh-oh.
I think we all know where this is going. Oh, right. Right.
But I'm the reason.
Claire? Oh.
Good thing Jack's mom walked away 2 seconds before this
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
She didn't have to hear this. That's part of why she leaves, I think, so they don't have
Mm-hmm.
to have her like, what?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mind blown.
Shannon was their daughter.
She didn't sound Australian.
She hit it.
But yeah, this is where he finds out. So the earlier scene was
I wonder
after
if he's
this.
putting it together with the accent. Don't say it. Oh, she said it.
Yeah.
Oof.
I do love the idea he thought it was Shannon the whole time.
Oof. That's a low blow.
Like, oh, so Boone's my brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an extra level I never thought of, actually. Step brother?
Step brother, yeah, technically. They whipped out. They didn't go full Game of Thrones.
Yeah. That's your nephew. I mean, grandson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
She
actually
doesn't
thought
even
this was
know.
Claire's aunt, but this is actually Claire's mother who was in a coma the whole time.
Yeah,
we saw her aunt
always think.
before, but it's
I
the
know.
mother
I always
now.
think it's the aunt who shows up here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's confusing.
Oh, that's right. They can't say that that's that it's
Yeah,
Claire's kid because they
exactly.
worried about the yeah. You know, with
Unlike the ones we're used to. Yeah, well, you know.
and sooner or later, everyone works for Ben. Oh,
Ooh, progress. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say Michael was involved with fixing the engines.
that's right.
Because it doesn't seem like
He's the
Desmond.
engineer.
Exactly. Oh.
What?
Oh, they just found the explosives. Nice. I guess that's the RF interference.
That's the thing that was transmitting. Oh, because
Yeah.
Kimi just turned it on. Okay.
Yeah.
She's tracking. She's in track mode.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You know, with enough time and hair, you can track anybody.
What kind of shoes? What size? How tall are they? Come on.
What's their emotional state?
Oh no, not another come out again. Oh, I remember who it is. God.
Nice.
The second before. What? Are you supposed to be on Kane?
It's funny because I forgot that show existed.
Most did.
Yeah. At the time.
Yeah, exactly. Canceled after only one season.
My mom liked it.
If that show had been a big hit, where would we have been with Richard Alpert?
Let's not ask that question. Others. So Ben signaled the others, and
Yeah,
that's why they're here.
I think so. I think that's the idea. Uh-oh. Not his famous baton.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, he's gonna do it wrong.
Of course he is. Huh? Wait, I'm already lost.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get it.
No.
I love it.
You lost him at pay attention.
It's so Locke. It's like I hate so many words.
Oh, so this is weird. So Ben is gonna have Locke go down,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how it's gonna end up working.
And yet Ben needs to be there because Locke doesn't know what to do.
That's right.
So
So at this one, he's still trying to follow what he think is Jacob's plan, which is to
Yeah.
have Locke do it.
I guess so.
Let's keep watching and see. I'm not convinced.
It's
Like he
it's
could have
weird.
maybe given him crazy explanation instructions because so he would get lost in what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's definitely a Ben type thing to do.
And then he comes to the rescue, like, oh, I'll have to do it.
Yeah, right. I think that's his tone of voice, more
Yeah.
or less.
Wow, well, this music tells me that this is the last episode of the season.
Yeah.
And this is how it's all gonna end.
It's an interesting place to end. But the others in their disguises, or is that
Yeah.
just how they dress?
This is their like jungle camo or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they're sort of like halfway between like we're pretending, but this is also just how you dress when you're in the jungle. Love that look.
Yeah, his eyes go cross-eyed when he looks up at it. All right.
No
well,
one thinks Ben's gonna die there, so at least they made it clear he's just gonna knock him out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, my name's Benjamin Linus. I think you killed my daughter. That should have been the line.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, they've already met, so it's kind of like,
Mhm.
I mean, not only that, he knows Kimi's there for him, so yeah. It's weird.
Wow, interesting place to leave off. Okay, so
Yeah.
Kate, who is it? Kate and Sawyer
Saeed.
get captured by and Saeed get
Kate's
captured
with
by.
Saeed, Sawyer's with Jack, and Frank.
Oh, sorry. Kate and Saeed get captured. Sawyer is with Jack and Frank.
Yeah.
And
Hurley's
then
with Locke and Ben, and then Ben goes in. I guess Hurley's still standing by, or he just runs away at this point. I'm not
eating those crackers.
eating those fucking crackers.
And then you have Michael and Son and Jin and
Yeah.
Desmond on the boat.
Freighter, yeah.
So that's I think 5 groups of people now, and then you
Yeah.
have like
the main.
I guess
beach people
Charlotte and those who were at the
Yeah.
beach. Yeah,
Yeah.
Juliet, and then
doing the ferrying, yeah.
then you have Faraday,
Faraday.
ferrying a day.
Yeah. No, there's a lot going on. It
There's
feels
a
like
lot going on.
finale.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's kind of just like the first part of the finale.
Yeah, it's almost like a third of it.
It's literally like that.
Wow, but yeah, good stuff so far. I mean, it's interesting, and again back to what we were saying before about the chronology and this idea of the flash forward, and when you set up this dramatic tension by showing the audience what's going to happen in the future, and then they're wondering how we're going to get to that point. But I think part of the problem, or another problem with that type of storytelling, is you forget by the time, we're seeing Jack, just after being rescued off the island, and he's before his downfall that we started the season with the flash forward stuff. You sort of forget that stuff, though. I think you sort of forget exactly what the flash forward stuff was. So you can't. So I think it doesn't have that big of an impact. I think, since you're sort of watching it out of order,
right?
Versus if you watched it and you just ramped up to Jack going more and more crazy, wanting to get back to the island.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it could have been an interesting. I mean, they, part of the problem that they're clearly solving with the flash forwards is the fact that by season 3, the flashbacks had kind of run their course, but they didn't want to change the formula of the show, and they never did. Like every season, they found a way to keep the formula, but somehow do something different with it.
They're flashing somewhere.
It's always flashing, yeah. So I feel like it gave them a way to do that. To do the formula of flashing somewhere, but without having to film flashbacks. But, I don't know how to fix that problem exactly. But I think in terms of a story, it would be interesting to see what the story would play out like if we actually just saw season 4 from the point of view of, like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where the freighter story is going to lead. And we just get to play it out in the present. We don't know that certain characters are going to survive. We don't know that certain characters are going to get off the island. I think that could have been pretty compelling stuff. And then we get to see the off-island story also play out linearly. And so we get to see how it's like to go back, how they adjust to being back, how various things, work or don't work for all the characters, and how they eventually are led to wanting to go back to the island. Like, I think that could have been interesting to see. I think it's a challenge. I can't actually envision how it would work except to have like an extra season and to get rid of the flashing for a while. I mean, that's the only problem with it. But I think story-wise, forgetting about the fact that it's a TV show and they have to kind of follow a certain pattern, I think the narrative might have been stronger that way.
Yeah, I think what you maybe could have done with this season is just invert where the present is and what you're flashing back to. So you would flash to the future where they get off the island. So you would start season 4 with this episode in terms of the Oceanic 6, like getting rescued.
Yeah.
And then what you're flashing back to is the island stuff. Yeah.
That could have been interesting. It still would have the sort of, problem of knowing where certain characters
you do know where certain characters end up, but what you gain is not being spoiled about the timeline for the future stuff, so you get to see that progress organically, and there's no sort of perfect version of it, but but I do like that idea. I think the missing 3 years, I mean, that kind of brings that story as the central focus, and I do feel like that stuff is a bit sketchy, mainly because it's just told through flash forwards. But, like, recentering the island as the flash place, they kind of do that in season 5, at least for part of the show, part of the season, maybe like half the season. That's right.
It's sort of like that where they do what you're saying, but it's after all this.
Yeah.
And, I think, not to undersell that part, but I think this stuff is, like, super dramatic, and it would have been nice in a way to kind of just work up to it instead of sort of, like, jumping ahead and then jumping back again and then jumping ahead and then jumping back again. Like, it's just kind of a mess to put together a certain character's arc, You have to kind of work. Which is fine, but it also lessens the impact, as you were saying. By the time we get to this, like, we've kind of lost the context.
Yeah, and you go, wait, what was it before? And then you're like, is this what's gonna happen next? And it's kind of confusing, and but overall, pretty nice, first part of the finale. Got a lot of stuff happening. It's the characters just never know what's going on. Like
They are so confused about
a lot of
everything.
people making like even that assumption in the beginning of the episode where they were like, well, who's on the helicopter? Well, it's got to
Right.
be Saeed and Desmond.
Saeed
Who
and
else could it
Desmond.
be? And it's just like, oh, that's wrong. That's so
Yeah.
wrong.
That's actually hilarious. It's classic Lost. I mean, that's
Hmm.
like, fundamental to how the show works, but it is weird. I mean, I guess like I don't remember noticing so much at the time, like how often the characters are just clueless about everything that's
Yeah, because
happening.
well, at the time we didn't know if they were right or not.
That's
With,
true.
with this much certainty, having seen the whole show.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. All right, yeah. I don't think I have anything
But
else
yeah,
for.
it's like it's as we discussed, for a finale, like generally more straightforward,
Hmm.
more action oriented. There wasn't, I mean, we had some character moments that were significant, but there weren't any really big mysteries here. Maybe what is the orchid? I think that's probably the biggest thing that they really put on the table, as far as the mysteries.
Hmm.
But I think I look at this really as a teaser for the finale. It's kind of like,
It is, yeah. It's like a pre-chorus.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, this will do for a week. This will give you something to talk about, but it really
Hmm.
doesn't. I don't think it really stands alone.
No, it's putting all the pieces in play for the real two-part finale in the next part. But what I was just thinking about Hurley was um he ever like acknowledge that the numbers weren't cursed? It feels like a stupid question because the answer is no, right? Like I feel like he never understood what he never really were able to put those in any kind of context
Yeah.
that was useful for his character growth is really what I'm trying to say. Like,
Uh, I think you're right. I think you're right. I don't think he ever ends up dealing with that stuff.
mm-hmm,
Um, and yeah, his Flash Sideways was all about Libby.
mm-hmm.
So they didn't. I feel like they didn't really focus on. Yeah, the numbers thing kind of just fades away, even though they go back to it here. But I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the final thing where Hurley freaks out about the numbers. I don't think it happens again. I could
I
be
think
wrong.
it has to be the final thing.
And I remember at the time, I literally remember this. This is one of the few things I remember from the podcast saying,
Mm-hmm,
wow, they're bringing up the numbers being cursed again. I guess that's still a thing, you
mm-hmm,
know?
mm-hmm.
And it's like, no. And I don't even know why they're doing that. I'm surprised that they didn't go with, after all I went through on the island and getting off, like, I realized that the numbers, aren't really cursed. Like, that's just
Yeah,
silly.
I feel like there should have been a moment in season 5 or 6 where he saw the numbers and then he didn't freak out and he like the numbers were all
Yeah.
in my head, man.
Yeah.
Like he could put them in context where he understood that they weren't intrinsically cursed.
Yeah. I feel like he could have had a moment of like, even if it's on the speedometer, like, you know what? It doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
Let's just drive the car. Fuck it.
That's less dramatic somehow, but
It's a completion of an arc. I agree, it is less
yeah,
dramatic, but
yeah.
like it would in a way it would put it would put an end point on that it kind of never gets resolved. I
Hmm.
mean, I feel like that's something Jacob could have maybe told Hurley at some point, like, get over the numbers, dude. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Get over the numbers, dude.
They're just numbers. I got numbers. I got all kinds of numbers. Did you ever see The Lighthouse?
Um, yeah, I was trying to see if this is the last place we see the numbers. It looks like it is, like in terms of them all at once, as a string. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously the cave thing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, which, yeah. I don't think is really the explanation for the numbers. I think it's more the other way around.
I I think that is that's another coincidence. I
Doubling
think it's
down
like
on
I
the
think it's like an
yeah.
intra
The
coincidence
numbers
that.
are sort of a representation of like misinterpreting coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can call it fate if you want,
Yeah.
you know. But that's what people choose to do. There's
Like
nothing
yeah,
inherently
like if every time I see the number 456, then I believe that that means something. Then I'm gonna see it more because now it
right.
means it's like if you ever like get a new car, all of a sudden you see all the cars like yours that you never thought before.
Right.
I think it's that kind of thing where you're sort of primed to find it more, and so you do. And then then you can have a sort of confirmation bias where it's like, oh, it's happening more. I'm seeing these numbers everywhere. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're just paying attention more because you
Right.
have it means something now.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that although we have 815, which is part of the numbers, flight 815, it ends up being 316 that they go back to the island
mm-hmm.
with. 16 is part of the numbers, but 3 is not.
Yeah.
So they kind of break that pattern there, and that seems consistent with the idea that, the numbers are just not really a thing. I mean, we get our final answer in season 5, like, what's the serial number again? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Clank, clank, clank. The
Mm-hmm.
end.
Well, the beginning, really.
The end / the beginning. Yeah, that's the problem. The end is the beginning.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, the 316 is weird. It's interesting that it's so close to 416.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. But somehow it's not.
Yeah, and why not?
And why not indeed?
It's weird.
But yeah, I wish Hurley could have made peace with the number somehow, or at least understood. Yeah, it seems like some of these like character dilemmas that these people had, they just kind of brushed past them and never really went back to address them.
Yeah, they just kind of fizzle out quietly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's just not a thing anymore. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's like, that's not, I don't know, that's not dramatically satisfying. I don't
Like
think
he never, yeah, I feel like he never really makes peace with seeing the dead people versus like like in terms of like his initial stay in the mental institution, like what that was about, and like, oh, I really was seeing dead people. Dave was really dead. I
Right.
wasn't crazy. I was gifted.
Right.
Like that kind of like, coming full circle, which is what they tried to do with the finale.
Yeah.
But in terms of some of these initial character dilemmas, they really just kind of brush past that for most people, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a thing at the end of season 5 when Jacob, who just decides to intervene with Hurley for no apparent reason,
Mm-hmm.
as he also does by proxy with Saeed. Again, like breaking his own bullshit rules. Anyway, sorry, not to rant about Jacob, but I think he does say to Hurley, like, maybe being able to see dead people is a gift and not a curse. I think that's the closest they get to what you're saying. That doesn't feel like enough to me, but
Yeah.
there was a kind of acknowledgement of that later on in season 5.
Yeah, but he never really puts that in context of, his original
The
issue.
earlier stuff, I agree. That's the problem. Yeah, because that's what you want. You want it to kind of close the circle. To sort of like come to a resolution point from the place where they started. Same thing with what we're talking about with Jack. Yeah, and it's just like Kate's stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of Saeed. There's a lot of characters who just don't really. Their storylines that they started with don't quite progress to the point where they feel like they resolve in a satisfying way on screen. It's just like
much like life.
It's just about something. Oh God, not that again.
When in doubt, pull that card out.
Yeah, that's always a good one to go to. Definitely,
because it's always true.
It always fits. God damn it!
I know, it's the worst. Why does life encapsulate everything?
I hate that.
It's the worst. Life's the worst. Oh man! All right, you want to go to the next episode?
I guess so. But are we going to
Yeah, we're
sort
gonna
of
wrap up this
wrap
podcast
this
and
one up?
we'll
Yeah.
we'll start the next one. So yeah, guys, if you're gonna steamroll through these three with us, that's what we're gonna try to do recording wise. But for this podcast, we'll say thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.